Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today, first timer on the show, his name is Spike Lobdell. He is the founder and president of New England Science and Sailing, and he was also on my radio show this morning, so I had to have him on the TV show too. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate
Sean,
it.
great to be with you again.
You were great on the radio show too, and you're very articulate, so I have no doubt that you will be able to articulate.
Now you're putting pressure on, so I'm not quite sure about that.
No, we make it virtually painless. For people who aren't familiar, and this is fairly new, New England Science and Sailing. It is fairly new, isn't it?
We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
Okay, so
year.
it hasn't been around that long, but tell people what it's about.
You know, Sean, New England Science and Sailing, or what we call NESS, is all about getting people out on the water. Be it adults or children. Our major focus is children, but getting them out in water, learning about the marine environment and learning about themselves. The idea that we have, and now which has really driven our growth, is we're teaching science, technology, engineering, and math, so-called STEM, from leveraging the classroom, but doing it on the water. So a child who's never been on the water before is not only learning about themselves, but they're also learning about geometry, a great way to learn.
Yeah, because geometry, just sitting in the classroom, your grade may be very different as a kid as opposed to being able to learn it and experience it, I guess, when you're out and about on a field trip, so to speak, right?
That's all it is. And we do it more than a field trip. With the Benny Dover Jackson Middle School, which we have an excellent relationship.
Which is in New London.
It's in New London. Mm-hmm. We're a key partner in their STEM Academy, where children are actually, learning geometry, taking sailing during the school day. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, when we talk about NESS and how it was started, the idea was we wanted to be, and our 4 core values from the very beginning. The first one, and most important, was inclusiveness. Anybody who wanted to be out in the water, we wanted to provide an opportunity to. So scholarships were a major driver in helping that.
People are always going to think about how much will it cost.
Exactly. And Sean, water is a shared asset. Why should someone who lives virtually in New London, 100 yards away from the water, not have access to it? And so inclusiveness is a real driver.
And you probably discovered that a lot of the kids may not have even come close to experiencing anything water-wise, right?
Exactly.
Even living this close, right?
Exactly. So you have a child who's never been on the water before, an at-risk child, maybe from very different parental or family circumstances. This is a totally different experience. So countless times during the summer, we have a child who's never been on the water before. The very first day at NESS is out in a small little boat.
It's like a kid living in a massive city, never experiencing a tree or a field or grass or something like that. This is analogous.
Well, we talk about kids who may not be able to afford it, but also there are plenty of children who do come and pay the tuition. But what we're doing is we're curing nature deficit disorder.
Right.
Because they're into their iPads and other forms of media.
So true, isn't it?
And they're not getting out and doing it. So I talked about our 4 core values. The first one being inclusiveness, but the next one is experiential hands-on learning. That back when I was in school, I learned by the textbook.
Reading, writing, arithmetic, that kind of thing?
Exactly, in the four walls. Our kids are actually getting out and doing it. They're not only on the water, but we have them go down and snorkel and being in the water and experiencing it.
You have to imagine that gets the kids excited, inspires them, and you have to see the positive results maybe in grades because of that? We do. It's, being in a boat, and I was fortunate. I had access to boats and water all my life. But when you have someone who's never been on the water before and they're driving the boat for the first time, there's an element of self-confidence that, I can do it. It's not scary. And some of these children, don't even know how to swim, and that's another important part that we try to address. But, then the third of the 4 core values is exactly that, personal growth, that we're getting children out on the water, and even adults, outside their comfort zone. And when they come back from the water, they are experiencing something that, hey, I can do it. So you get on the first day of school, or class, a child, saying goodbye to mom, kind of nervous, etc. Mom may be petrified, incidentally. Right. Yeah. More nervous than the kid.
Exactly. And so the child comes back and, look what I did. And it's such an area of self-confidence.
Oh, they probably come back with a big smile on their face, right? Yeah.
They do.
They want to go back.
Well, and when you consider that they're learning geometry out there and some of the things, that's, how many children really want to go back to the geometry class? But when you're calculating the area of a triangle and it happens to be your jib, It's a great thing.
Isn't that always the great thing where you can sneak? It's like feeding kid healthy food, but not letting him know it's healthy. You know what I mean? Teaching, having a kid learn, but not realizing that he's learning geometry, he'll actually do it and be excited. But if you tell him you're learning geometry, you know?
Yeah, call it disguised education. I mean, one of the things that I think in our school systems overall is that, you know, many industrialized countries, you know, go 12 months a year and their school day is 9 to 5. You know, our children have such packed after-school activities. To be able to create an after-school program that connects directly to the curriculum, so it reinforces it. At Benny Dover, we call it transdisciplinary learning, where we're out on the water reinforcing geometry, but we're also helping kids with English, et cetera. So when they get back in the classroom, it's, you know, it's reinforcing.
Yeah, and it sounds great. Now you mentioned the need for it, but how exactly did it come to fruition? Did it come about? How did you take it from that idea step, because you are the founder? How did it go from step one to where it is now?
You know, in some respects, you'd rather be lucky than smart, or
I'm assuming there was some luck involved in it.
There's a lot of luck involved, but I think what separated us from the very beginning is I talked about our core values. But the other thing that I think we did right in the very beginning is our educators are excellent. The people that are dealing with the children are world class.
What's their background?
Some marine sciences, you know, sailors, et cetera, and they're certified. They're certified captains. They're lifeguards.
So their experience is as much with life experience as it is with the ability to teach in the classroom.
Absolutely, and importantly, they're role models. I mean, many kids, certainly inner city kids, you know, they desperately need role models. So the first thing we did was try to get the best quality educators. The next, which really helped us, was our location. Our home location in Stonington is right on the water, right in Stonington Borough. It's deep water, but it's very protected. So it's almost no weather condition where we can't get kids out in the water virtually 12 months a year. And then the final key to our success really has been the curriculum. The combination of sailing, marine science, and now adventure sports, surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, kayak, windsurfing, all of these things create an environment where the kids are having fun,
right,
but we're also teaching them some core principles.
I mean, it's hard to imagine you're learning something from kayaking or paddleboarding. That's what people do for fun in the summer, yet somehow you're incorporating that with education too.
Well, one of the things that I'm very pleased of, we just announced and opened a satellite here at Ocean Beach, which is in New London. It's a gorgeous piece of property, and also we have a satellite out in Westerly. The idea of
Weekapaug Beach in Westerly, because
exactly,
we have a lot of Rhode Island people watching the show today.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Very important. And once again, we're trying to bring our unique curriculum closer to the students. But Sean, when you talk about kayaking, when you're going through Ocean Beach or the Weekapaug Pond, the kayak is the vehicle by which you get to nature. And you're not going to learn that from an iPad.
It's small. It's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's fun.
You're right. I mean, an iPad does serve a purpose in the classrooms, because certainly things have moved on from book and paper to technology, such
Right,
as a laptop or an iPad or something like that. But boy, there is something to be said for the loss of the ability to be able to get out in the field, so to speak.
Exactly. Well, what happens, you know, our classes start at age 4, and we call them marine aquanauts. I mean, really cute, you know.
Right, that's like the Cub Scout name or the
exactly,
Brownie name or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But and by age 6, they're out in the water, and they might bring back something, some specimen or some form of algae or something, and then we use technology back in the lab where they actually look at it. They can project it up to show their other kids in the class, but then they can use the internet to go research it.
Right.
And then find out more about it, and then they go back and, the equipment, we have touch tanks to recreate the marine environment. But going back to that core value of hands-on learning.
Did we get to number 4 on that?
Yeah, I'll do that right now. But the core value of hands-on learning, they're doing it.
Right.
And so technology becomes the vehicle by which they define, not a distraction or in and end of itself. Thank you. The fourth core value is something for all of us, is stewardship. You know, our marine environment and our global environment is finite. And so it's not only the ecology that we're teaching children how to steward, but also relationships, family, relationships with the community. That's why these satellites are so important, that, from New London, being on the water and having them take pride in the water as their community is something that's really important.
So New London, Ocean Beach, Stonington, the main office, Westerly, Weekapaug Beach, and you're also looking into like the other more toward New York, like Bridgeport or somewhere down there,
Yeah,
right?
we think that we'd like to be able to be a catalyst to help other communities develop the same sense of curriculum. So, we've had conversations in Norwich. We also are talking to schools in Hartford where they might come down for a day. Now, Hartford doesn't have the same access to sailing,
Right.
but they have some great, the Farmington River and
Right.
the marine sciences and the ecology. So, we'd like to be an enabler, whether it helps us develop a satellite or not. It's really getting kids in the same environment of unique learning that we've been working on.
Part of the creation of it or the evolution of it was you obviously getting involved with the Benny Dover School. Talk about how that came about.
It started with one instructor at Benny Dover who wanted to create a rewards and recognition program. So after physical education, as a reward for doing certain things, they came to NESS, and we kind of discovered with him the important aspects of the curriculum, and then it grew from that.
Had NESS already existed when the Benny Dover relationships had started?
That's how it started.
Okay.
It started about 3 or 4 years ago. So now this year, they are working, as many people know, New London is probably become magnet schools overall.
Right.
Benny Dover, the middle school, would have the same aspirations. And now we're working with them in their Leadership STEM Academy to integrate our curriculum into theirs. One very exciting piece of news is we were awarded an AmeriCorps grant.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so 10 AmeriCorps workers will actually be in the school with us. We'll have 6 in the water and 4 in the classroom.
How important is that?
It's huge for us for 2 real reasons. It leverages our partners, the teachers at Benny Dover, in an important way. And it also creates role models for the kids where they see the AmeriCorps workers and working with our instructors and more hands-on with the children in the classroom. It will also help them, getting to NESS, getting out. So it's really putting a focus on really helping these kids learn. It's all about the kids.
Will it potentially have other schools want to be involved, or other municipalities want to be involved?
We'd like that.
Yeah.
We'd like that. I mean, obviously, we have to manage our growth. 5 years ago, we had probably 200 students. This past year, 2,700, and we'll
wow,
probably
that's a big jump.
Yeah, and it's I give the staff at NESS a lot of credit, because while that growth has been phenomenal, it's all about the student, one student at a time.
Let's take a break and come back. Before we do, though, why don't you give out the website for NESS so people can go and learn more?
Sure. The website is New England Science and Sailing Foundation, but it's abbreviated, NESSF.org, New England Science and Sailing Foundation.
We'll put a graphic up on the screen too, and take a break. Spike Lobdell, and
there we go.
We're going to get into how you have the name Spike too. That's going to come up in the.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You look better at it than I do.
I'm Sean Murphy, not Spike, but we'll take a break and come back. This is For the Record. Stay with us. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest is Spike Lobdell. He is the founder and president of New England Science and Sailing. They call it NESS. But right before the break, we mentioned the website. What's on the website for people to go and see?
It's really our program, Sean. You can get information on all our different activities, from sailing to windsurfing to kayaking to paddleboarding, also all of our programs. A description of the courses, et cetera. And importantly, you can sign up for all of the programs directly through online registration. It also has the events that we put on periodically.
Yeah, and there are definitely some coming up. We'll get to that in just a bit. There's probably, are you plugged into social media too?
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
you have to be, right? That's where the kids are, for one
That's
thing.
where the kids are. Maybe I'm less plugged in than some of the other people, but.
Well, like you said, like we talked about before, maybe a little less technology and a little bit more out and about, to experience life. I want to give you the opportunity, we'll get back into it, but a great award, a sailing award. Talk about that a little bit.
It's really gratifying that U.S. Sailing, which is the governing body of our sports sailing, named NESS the Outstanding Community Sailing Program last year in the country. Probably 1,400 programs, community sailing programs, and we were selected largely because of what we're doing in outreach. getting people on the water, sailing, reaching, the sport of sailing, reaching a different clientele than ever thought possible. I mean, growing up sailing, and I'll probably offend somebody, but sailing is kind of viewed as a rich white man esoteric sport.
No, it is. That's true. How do you pay for it? How do you afford it? You know?
And what we've done is made sailing accessible. So whatever race, color, whatever you are, the fundamental values that you can learn through sailing, the self-confidence, independence, what you do by navigating a boat and getting it back to shore should be available to everybody. So really what this award recognizes is that we've really made it an effort to do it, and we're proud to have that honor.
Congratulations. By the way.
Thanks to the team.
What happens in the winter? I mean, because it's tough to get out on the boat in the winter, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we're year round. We will sail probably from March to November. We keep a couple boats in the water that on that off December day, it can get out. And
when there's a blizzard going on.
You don't do that. Cut back on that. And we're not. We do some ice fishing and things like that. But you'll find.
So you can adopt to the weather.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you also find that versus my age, kids a little bit more hardy than maybe the adults.
Like, what do you mean it's too cold? We're having a great time out here.
Yeah.
It's one thing to describe the services and programs, but it's another thing to paint a picture in a way where, great stories are told can actually kind of burn a better image in the mind of people learning about this. You got some great stories to tell?
There are a lot, and it's fun.
Some feel-good stories.
Yeah, well, there was one story of a girl saying, Mom was telling me, after a day at NESS, she goes, Mom, you told me we were doing science today. That's so boring. What we did was so much cooler than science. We got out, I snorkeled and went down. We got this, I think it was a squid or something. Then we took it back and we actually dissected it and learned about the body. That wasn't science, that was fun.
Yeah.
So once again, disguised learning.
That's right, yeah.
And there was a situation a couple years ago where a girl from, had a really, really tough family situation, and regrettably there was a tragedy in the family. She was a good student, but that tragedy hit her very hard, and she, lost her way in a fundamental way. And then the mother didn't know what to do, how to get her out of this, and heard about our scholarship program, and she came to take sailing. Never been on the water before, and that first summer 3 years ago, loved it, and then came back through scholarship success of 2 summers, and last summer she wound up by doing very well in a big regatta, and she's, sailing may have, potentially changed her life.
I get a feeling that a few people's ears popped up, so to speak, when they hear scholarship program, meaning there is a way that a lot of the tuition can be augmented. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, our individual tuition or program revenue, like any school, we do a lot of fundraising to support the program.
Right. You're a nonprofit. People should know that.
Yes, very much so. And that's, we're dedicated to that. So in terms of scholarship, we wanted to make our program accessible to all. So we were fortunate enough to raise money from not only individuals, but from foundations who said, we like, NESS, what you're doing with your curriculum. It should be accessible to kids who can't afford it.
As the person who's the president and also the founder, are you the person who kind of has to, seek out funding donations, writing grants, things of that sort?
No, we have a staff. I guess there's 12 full-time staff in NESS year round. We do have a director of vice president, director of advancement and development, with some assistance. But as the president and also our executive director, how do we look to position NESS to talk about what we're doing? We believe we're doing some wonderful things, and very appreciative of being on this program right now. But it does take a lot of money. I mean, our budget is around the $1.6 million level, and our program revenue probably only covers 40% of that. So we fundraise for the rest of it.
What's it like in this environment? Are we supposedly coming out of a recession now? And how about like companies and corporations? Are they able to help out, or just the ability to raise funds in the environment that we're in economically?
I think it's been tough,
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate, and knock on a little bit of wood, to be able to raise some funds. I do believe very passionately that if you're asking for money without a good cause, you'll never get the money. The issue is we're not curing cancer per se, but what we're doing is something very unique, one child at a time. And you don't necessarily need to focus on the at-risk child. There are plenty of children who are full pay who don't have the self-confidence to go out in a boat, don't have that sense of independence. And so even there,
they can benefit from it.
They can benefit from it. And so that feeling of inclusiveness is all about it. So the money that we've been able to fortunately raise has been, individuals, some foundations. Now, given what we're doing in education, hopefully take this, what we call our unique sailing and science curriculum, get it into the school system, which hopefully, would be able to help generate some state or federal funds.
You have some events coming up. Depending on when this show airs that you're watching right now, this event may have already passed, but there are lots of other ones on the website that you'll be able to go check out. But first, talk about Oyster Fest.
Oyster Fest, our second annual Oyster Fest. And what that is an event for the community, kind of by the community. It's going to be at the Mystic Arts Center on Sunday, August 17th, from 11 to 2. But what makes it unique is restaurants, major restaurants in the region, 10 of them have come through, and they're going to actually come and serve some dishes. So it's a wonderful kind of buffet gathering of the community and getting people together. Here about NESS, we have some activities for the kids, so it's a great, fun family event.
And that's not even the big fundraiser. The big one is November 1st, the gala, right?
Yeah, the first Saturday of November has always been our big fundraiser, and it's gotten to be a pretty good party. We do raise some substantive funds, but here again, it's about fun. We've done different things. We had a Gilligan's Island theme. We had all sorts of different things. So we tend to be pretty creative at it. Once again, it does raise money not only to support scholarships, but our operating day-to-day operations. But Saturday, November 1st, it's going to be at the Stonington Velvet Mill this year, and we plan some good surprises. Last year, we had a little bit of an event called Let's Make a Deal, going off the classic game show, and we're going to try to do something even more innovative this year.
And the locations, these are accessible to Rhode Island people, Connecticut people, whoever, to just come and be a part of it. You mentioned day-to-day, duties and functions. As the president, what exactly do you do day-to-day? I imagine it's something different all the time, right?
And if you ask probably the staff, they would probably have a different view. It's called getting spike when I come up with some probably fancy idea that's kind of a little bit off the radar screen. But I view my role, I'm a volunteer also, so as president and working through, want to work with the executive director and the team to try to help, guide the organization, make their jobs a little bit easier. There's obviously some different roadblocks in a nonprofit, but I do spend a lot of my time fundraising and working with the team to make sure we can be the best we can be and deliver the curriculum.
And, if you expand and get more of these satellite locations, you'll be on the road more. Luckily, Connecticut's a small state, but that doesn't matter because you're into Rhode Island and everything too now.
It's all pretty close.
Yeah, but it's a short drive away. So as we wind down, is there anything else you want to let people know about New England science and sailing that if there's anything that they still have a question about? What's the one thing that you would say?
Well, I think, I guess there are probably two things that I'd want people to really look at. One, the water is a shared asset, and as we're trying to get everybody out on the water, we're making the water accessible. And whether you're in Rhode Island or Connecticut down this end, or even at the other end of the state going through, NESS is trying to make water accessible and then bolster a curriculum, in the school system that makes it not only accessible, they're learning something, it's fun, and it's expanding the learning opportunities.
And like you said, it's about for the kids, right?
It is. It's all about the kids, and that's the second thing. For me, it's all about our students. And we've taken some innovative approaches to what we're trying to deliver. And I know as president and a volunteer, yes, I've been a donor, obviously, and helping lead the organization. But my reward is when I watch the kids come off the boat and saying, I can. And there's so many unempowering things in our world today to see a child come off the boat for the first time and say, wow. Look what I did. Or we were fortunate to have a very substantive donation of a J105, and the scholarship child was at the helm saying, wow, I'm driving a boat that's worth $1,000. Well, it was probably worth like $100,000. And when that got fed back to him, the confidence and the empowerment and the trust that obviously the instructor was there, but gave that child is probably something that he'll remember for a while.
And it probably made you feel like $1 million too, just seeing that experience and that expression on his face.
And
right?
that happens, that happens daily, and that's really what it's about.
Let's take one more quick break, and we'll come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay with us. So that is our show for today. The website, one more time for people to go and learn.
Yes, NESSF.org. It's the first letters of New England Science and Sailing Foundation.org.
And if people have questions, they want to come to you or find out more.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage, Sean, of coming to a program like this is raising people's perceptions and recognition of NESS. So, obviously, if you have good ideas or something that, we could value, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email or contact us vis-a-vis the website. There's also some really important volunteer opportunities because as we grow and build for the community, getting the community involved is really one of the big things that's fostered our growth. So we are very much appreciate all the support and certainly of this program here and allowing me to get the message out. Hopefully it was successful.
You want to do some volunteering? This is definitely the place. So that is our show for today. We want to thank Spike, and we never got to that name, but we'll do it another time. Spike Lobdell, the New England Science and Sailing founder and president. We very much appreciate being on the show, so thank you.
No, thank you. Nice to see you.
And that's our show. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. Till next time, take care.